Hi guys, it's Sunny. I'm back again. Recently one of our fellow ballroom dance enthusiasts commented on my channel, and I'll read you the comment. This is from Camille E. So thank you so much, Camille, for your question. Hi, Sunny. As an instructor, how do you respond and how do you feel when a student says, but Sunny, instructor B says XYZ about this? I find as a new student that if I dig further, most of the time these discrepancies are actually just different ways of describing the same thing. However, occasionally my instructors do seem to contradict each other. As a student, did you pick one coach whose advice trumped all? And did you always defer to them? Thank you. I'm truly enjoying your videos and appreciate the entertaining and illustrative anecdotes from your dance life. So thank you so much for your compliments. And I'm going to answer this question here because I think it'll help a lot of people. And I wish someone would have answered this for me very early on in my dance career. And warned me, that this would happen, because it will happen. And why? And here's why. Dancing ultimately is an art form. So there's one more way to skin a cat, okay? There are two things. There's two totally different or even more conflicting schools of thought. If you ask 10 different championship level couples how to do a rumba walk, they will give you 10 different answers. Everyone kind of artistically believes one or the other is the best. So that coach is genuinely giving you advice that they feel will be best for you, okay? Doesn't mean they're wrong, it's just different. Also, take into account, people often teach you the way that worked best for them, okay? So we're all built differently as human beings. We don't come out of an auto factory. We have different heights. We have different proportions. We have different strengths and weaknesses. We might have great flexibility or great strength or great musicality. And so the way I teach one couple might actually be in conflict with what another couple might teach you. Ultimately, again, they are just doing their best to help you. So, and honestly, the best way to handle this, in my opinion, is just to share. Anytime you take a lesson with someone else, share that with kind of your home coach. And as previously suggested in another video, yes, I do recommend kind of finding that home-based coach that doesn't necessarily trump all, but whose advice I really trust and I go to in the long term. That coach is going to be most familiar with my long-term strengths and weaknesses. You know, they're going to know how I dance day to day and not just how I happen to dance that one day when I had a visiting coach session, with someone. They can also often interpret for you what the visiting coach said, if it just doesn't make sense. Because there are many times I would dump a ton of money on visiting coaching and leave not understanding a thing I heard. Very frustrated that I felt stupid, I didn't understand. But if you go back to your home coach and say, hey, they said XYZ, they can often interpret it for me because they'll often have taken from a wide variety of coaches themselves. And maybe if it's not the way they taught you, they will say, oh yes, but Peter Eggleton teaches this way and this is what he meant. And they can interpret that for you in a way that's more digestible, okay? And also, again, know that you're not wasting your money if you leave that lesson thinking, oh my gosh, that was great. I've learned it completely wrong. Because it's not necessarily wrong. Dancing is learned in layers. And when someone sees you, they might think you're ready for that next layer. And that next layer often feels in contradiction to what you first learned. But you first have to master those basics. If you add too much fluff and stuff at first, it's going to be all jacked up. And it will take you 10 times as long to learn everything. And, the reality is years later, I would also kind of master certain aspects of my dancing and then reflect back and think, oh, oh, that's what they meant in that visiting coaching session. And likewise, even if that approach didn't work for me, it actually came in very handy years later when I turned pro and I teach, because I can draw on that goodie bag of different things I've learned, even though it didn't work for me, and use that to teach my students in a way that maybe it didn't work for me, but maybe I think, oh, maybe they'll digest it this way. And often that unique approach works. So A, you're not wasting your money. B, it's not necessarily in conflict with what you've already learned or what you've been taught, what you will be taught. And C, there are different schools of thought. So even if it's conflicting with what you currently know, what your coach is teaching you, it does not necessarily mean it's wrong. Okay, it's just different. My coaches had great advice for me, which was, when you take with a visiting coach, just listen, don't argue with them, implement everything they say to the best of your ability. And then after that lesson, you take home what worked for you. And you put in your back pocket what maybe didn't work as well, okay? Because what works for one couple is not going to work necessarily the best for another, okay? Just try your best and toss what doesn't work for you, and then digest and implement in your dancing the pieces that do work for you. And for the pieces that conflict, ask your kind of home coach, hey, can you interpret this for me? What does this mean? And if they just disagree, hey, that you can pick and choose what works best for you. So again, absolutely share everything you learn with that home coach. They will help, even if they're in complete agreement with everything you learned, they can reinforce that over your upcoming lessons so that you don't forget it, because you will forget those kind of one-off visiting coaching sessions. Even if you cram in 15 lessons in 1 week or 1 day with someone, it will dissipate quickly. So if you share that with your coach, they can help positively reinforce all those wonderful things you've just learned, okay? And so just expect that this will happen. That is reasonable. That is normal. And honestly, the farther up in your dancing you progress, the more of these artistic differences you're going to encounter. And again, that's okay. That's part of what makes ballroom dancing so fascinating and exciting, okay? It's not doing, 2 + 2 = 4. It's like a very complex physics equation in many ways. And that makes it fascinating and fun to learn. And ultimately, hearing those different perspectives gives you a very well-rounded perspective on your dancing. And finally, I've mentioned this before, but just a red flag to look out for. If your kind of home coach discourages you from taking any coaching from anyone else, okay? If they just talk smack about every other teacher in town, every other dancer, this is a huge warning sign that you need to find another home coach. This is inevitably based in that coach's own insecurity about their abilities to teach you. They're afraid that you're going to see that, oh, there's someone different, or there's someone that I also like to take from. Maybe even, God forbid, someone that's better. And I think it's always a great idea to take from the best coaches you can. Doesn't mean you have to switch to them. You can if you want, but if you trust that home coach, I would stick with them and supplement with that good coaching and run away as fast as you can and find another home coach if they dissuade you from taking from everyone else, okay? So I hope that's been a helpful answer to your question, and I think it'll be helpful to a lot of people. So if you liked it, press that thumbs up, subscribe. I love seeing that. As you know, I'm not monetized. I just love seeing that. And please, 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 I cannot encourage you enough to comment below in things you liked, things you disagree with, and other topics you'd like me to touch on, because that definitely helps me share videos that you will enjoy the most. And I greatly appreciate that. So thanks so much, Camille. See you all tomorrow. Bye.